Welcome to Best Life 30, your 30-day journey to creating the best life possible for yourself. You can just watch this video, or if you want to sign up for the whole series for free and get the bonus companion worksheets that go with each video, check the link in the description below. All right, so today is day 9, and we're going to learn how you can develop more discipline.
Where does discipline come from? It's pretty simple and pretty obvious. Discipline comes from within. It's an internal force. Now, sure, of course, you can have discipline imposed on you by some person, like a drill instructor, or like that self-help guru on TV. But the reality is that type of discipline isn't the real type of discipline that we're talking about. That discipline isn't as strong. It won't survive. What you need is self-discipline. Now, self-discipline comes from the self. It comes from you. It comes from when you make a decision to be disciplined. When you make a decision to be better. When you make a decision to do more and to be more. Self-discipline comes when you decide that you're going to make a mark on the world. And if you think that you're not disciplined or you can't be disciplined, it's because you haven't yet decided to be disciplined. It's because you haven't created that discipline yet. So make the decision, make the commitment, discipline, the root quality that will improve every aspect of your life. And it'll make you better and stronger and smarter and faster and healthier. And most importantly, it'll make you free.
The other thing you should do if you're not very industrious is discipline yourself. And so what do you do with that? Eat 3 times a day at regular meal times. That's a good thing to practice, because that starts to put some stability into your life. Get up at the same time. I would highly recommend all those young people out there who are listening, like, you want to get a jump on life, get the hell out of bed in the morning. You know, as I've got older, I've got up earlier and earlier. Now, that's partly because you don't need as much sleep, but it's also partly because I've got more and more disciplined. Like, get up early in the morning and get your things done. Man, learn to get up at 6 in the morning and you'll be one deadly creature, especially if you can get to work. You'll have half your damn day done by the time other people haul their sorry asses out of bed. And so that's a massive, massive advantage. Look, Warren Farrell, not the comedian, Warren Farrell, the author, he outlined data in Why Men Earn More, which is a book I would recommend, by the way, showing that if you work 13% longer hours, you make 40% more money. It's nonlinear. So you think, why is that? Well, imagine you had 10 employees and one of them works an extra 10%. It's not much. Well, how often is that person going to be promoted, assuming you have a clue as a boss? It's like you're going to look at the 10 people and you're going to think, oh, that guy's always here like 45 minutes early. It's like, why don't we give him the promotion? Obviously, right? So these small edges that you can manage like that, work an extra 10% or extra 13%, have non-proportional payoffs. That's part of the Pareto distribution. So get your sleep cycle organized so you get up in the morning. Learn how to do it. No excuses. I'm too tired in the morning. I don't like mornings. Who cares? That's not relevant. It's like discipline yourself so you can manage it. Schedule your meals, because that's a good disciplinary routine. And then learn to use a calendar, like Google Calendar. Many of you out there do not use a calendar. Okay, a calendar is not a prison, and it's not a tyrant. Not if you use it properly. A calendar keeps anxiety at bay. It makes sure that you do what you need to do, which is important, because otherwise you fall behind. But if you use it properly, it's also helps you plan what you want to do. So I could say, well, lay out your damn calendar and design the days you would like to have. That's what your calendar is for. So you can put in all sorts of things in there you want to do and that would be good for you. And that's a really good way to start being more industrious. Make a plan. You need a plan for 3 years. You need a plan for the next year. You need a plan for the next 6 months. You need a plan for the next 3 months. You need a plan for the week. You need a plan for the day. You need a plan for the hour. All of that. I make lists constantly of what I have to do. And they're like daily, weekly, monthly, yearly. Right now, I can't look out more than about 6 months, because my life is too complicated and chaotic. But you need a vision of who you could be, what character you could have. 3 to 5 years out, you can't go much farther than that because life is too unpredictable, I think, to make vision that's longer term than that subject to. There's too much chance associated with it to spend a lot of time on. Maybe you can stretch it to 5 years, and in rare cases, you can have a 10-year goal, but it has to be pretty low resolution. But you want plans at all those levels of resolution. You want to write the things down. And because what are you going to do? You're going to stumble around and get what you need? You're going to stumble around and be useful to other people? And it's useful to be useful to other people, They want to work with you then. They want to do things with you. They want to have you around. They trust you. They open up opportunities for you. And if you stumble around like you're blind, you're not going to get anywhere. And then you're going to suffer. And then you're going to be bitter. And then you're going to be cruel. So that's hell. That's a bad outcome.
But there are some actually keys that very, very disciplined people have. And here is the most important one. And this would change your life if you do it. And I had to make myself do this. It was not natural at all. You must do what you don't want to do first. People who are hugely successful do this. They do the thing they hate first of all. I worked with somebody who was morbidly obese. And I said, you have to work out. When I hate working out, I'm heavy, it's really uncomfortable. I said, no, not only have you got to do it, you got to do it first. And I had to do that too. You see, if you don't like going to the gym and you go, I'll go later, then something happens, the phone rings, you eat something, you think, oh, it's too late now. When you go first, you think later, oh, I went to the gym first. I feel like a winner. You got to make a very difficult call. You've got to ring someone who owes you money or confront someone that you don't want to confront, and you wait. And all day it's hanging over your head, making you feel so bad. But when you do it first, you feel like a winner. Because people who have discipline do this. They do the thing they do not want to do first. And I want you to start saying that. I was giving a speech recently, and the guy who came on after me said, I kept hearing my voice in my head going, Marissa said, do what you don't want to do first. He said, that has changed my entire business life. And all my staff remember that too. What do we not want to do? What's the worst job? Let's do that first and get it out of the way. And of course, in the beginning, this will be what you do, but you know what will happen? It starts to become who you are. It becomes easy. It becomes seamless. It's a bit like putting lenses in your eye. It feels seriously odd to suddenly jam your finger in your eye. But if you do it every day, it becomes easy. Because that's how habits are formed. You make a habit, and then your habits make you. So make your habits amazing.
So a dude screamed to me the other night, hey, Will, I want to be an actor, man. I want to be an actor just like you. Usually people say stuff to me like that. I'm like, yeah, man, you can do it. Give them an encouraging word. But I was just sitting here thinking, and it dawned on me, 99% of people that say stuff like that are not willing to do what it takes to make their dreams come true. The Marines have a saying, everybody wants to go to heaven, but nobody wants to die. And that's just real. At the center of bringing any dream into fruition is self-discipline. Something as simple as food and eating. It's not about your body as much as it is about your mind. It's getting command of your mind to be able to choose actions that are in your own best interest. Every day we are choosing shit that's not in our own best interest. right? So if the world is attacking you and the world wants to fight you and the world's trying to hold you down, so you're going to kick yourself in the balls? So you're going to stop yourself from getting what you dream. Self-discipline is the center of all material success. You cannot win the war against the world if you can't win the war against your own mind.
The thing about self-discipline is that it is necessary for everything you do in your life. You have to be self-disciplined. If discipline comes from somewhere else, it's very, very hard to remain consistent because you tend to resist. It's wild because I see trainers and they're in the gym with people and, you know, the guy or girl that they're working out hates their workout, hates it because the discipline is coming from somewhere else. It's something that you dread every time you go in. You don't really want to do it. It's like, but oh no, my trainer's here. He's about to, you know, beat me up and make me feel crazy. Well, the truth is, every trainer should work his way out of your life. Anybody who's working you out, your teachers, your trainers, your people, they have to train you to get out of your life. So you can go ahead, do your own workout, do your own thing, practice self-discipline. Now, one thing I want to straighten out, big time. Discipline is not punishment. It's not. Discipline is training. That's all it is. I was talking to my son one time and I asked him, and it was weird because I was trying to see if he really knew what it was all about. And I said, hey man, you know I have to discipline you. What is discipline? And he goes, punishment. When I do something wrong and you punish me. I was like, no. Discipline is training. If you change your mind, your mindset, and really focus it on what discipline really is, you start to welcome discipline. You welcome self-discipline into your life.
I believe that most human beings are only living at about 40% of their capability. So the mind has a governor, like a car. If you're driving a car and the car has a governor on it, the car may say 130 miles an hour, but the governor is set for 91. Once that governor sets in, you get to 91, that car starts doing this. The car wants to go. The car wants to go, but that factory said, we're not going past 91. We have a factory, a nice governor in our brain, and it's a survival mechanism. It protects us from pain and suffering. The second we feel that shit, our mind says, oh no, this isn't fun. We should back off. We should sit down, find something more comfortable. And there's something about the mind. The mind has the tactical advantage over you at all times. At all times of your life, the mind has a tactical advantage over you. Why is that? It knows what you're afraid of. It knows your insecurities. It knows your deep, dark lies. And it starts to push you away from that shit. It pushes you in a direction that is comfortable. The mind controls everything. So what I realized was that when I was growing up and I was 300 pounds and I got all fat and I got all insecure, I realized that my mind kept taking me in this direction. When things got uncomfortable for me, when I was facing my insecurities, I was facing my fears, my mind said, oh no, we have the tactical advantage. We need to get you, separate you from this feeling over here. Life's all about feelings. We want the happy feeling. We don't want that feeling of this sucks. Why am I here? And you don't have any, so you can't answer those questions, so you leave. I started realizing that if in that moment you can answer those up questions and you are now in charge of your brain versus your brain ruling you, that's where all that stuff comes from. So the 40% rule is all of that. You get to 40%, your brain says, we're done. Let's roll, man. This is starting to get painful. This is uncomfortable. So you sit down. You have to figure out ways, and everybody's different. That's how the book kind of talks about, like we all have these things about, 5 steps to this and 4 steps to this. It's a lot more than that. That's all bullshit. It's a practice that you have to, it's a habit. So if you know that at 40%, I'm feeling pain. At 40%, I'm feeling pain. That's where the 40% rule kicks in. Now it starts. Okay, I'm feeling pain. My mind's saying all this shit to me. It's saying, get out of here, run, flee. The fight or flight kicks in. Okay, we're done. We're not good enough. It starts telling you all these things. You start to believe it because the mind controls all. This is the time where you have to gain control back of your mind. and say, okay, let me see if I can go 45%. And once you start giving yourself more and more hope and start realizing, okay, the mind starts to be, okay, what are you doing? We're supposed to be going right and you're going left. You start then controlling your mind. Start finding more in yourself. And then it goes from 40% to a lot further than that. But that's the start of it though. Get to the spot where your mind is saying stop. Wherever that is, you gotta get there first. And then that's when that starts to work for you. You gotta control yourself in that moment.
Most of what people do is what we're doing right now. Most of what people do is sit down.
But is that because they don't feel like running around? Because some people, like people who exercise, generally you have to put in a little bit of effort to make yourself go exercise. But a lot of people who are overweight and sick don't have enough energy to do that.
I don't know about that. Some of them maybe, but I think some of them just don't have discipline. There's an issue with that as well. There's also an issue with momentum. You're not used to doing it. It's not a part of your life. It's not something that you're accustomed to, pushing yourself. There's been many days where I didn't want to work out. I just didn't feel like I had the energy, and I just forced myself. And I think there's very few people out there that know how to force themselves. That's a learned.
Yeah.
That's a learned skill. It's that kind of discipline and focus. You have to have like real rigid requirements of yourself where you don't allow yourself to back out of things and you don't allow yourself to slack off. And I don't think people put those kind of requirements on themselves as if it is a daily principle of life, like what you must get done. You know, you must brush your teeth, you must exercise for 45 minutes. And if you did that, I think you'd be healthier and happier, and your body would perform more smoothly. And if you require your body to do things like that, I think it rises to the occasion. There are very few people that have that kind of discipline. So because of that, they come up with excuses. And excuses are a giant part of the problem. It's not simply a physical health issue. There's also mental aspects of it, and discipline's a big one. I just know way too many people who are weak mentally. And I can't just chalk it off to only, their physical, the way they physically feel, because I felt like shit 100 times, and then I worked out and then I felt way better. Yeah. It's just a fact of life. That's real. You just gotta, and people don't know how to do that. And it's not, and if you're used to doing this, get in your car, sit down, drive to the office, sit down, go to the lunch, sit down, go to the board meeting, sit down. Get in your car on the way home, sit down. Get home in front of the TV, sit down. Then go to the gym, off. They don't have any energy. Their body's like, I don't have it in me to do this. And I don't believe that. I think it's a lot of it is the mindset.
These thoughts that we have, we think they're our thoughts, so it makes it really hard to change them. And people meditate and try to not think thoughts. Show me somebody that's done that successfully, consistently. They're full of shit. Everybody, the mind thinks thoughts. But here's the distinction. If I told you 100 years ago we're going to fly to the moon and back, you would have called me a lunatic. That's where the term comes from. And people still use it, and it doesn't make any sense, because a lunatic is somebody who thought we go to the moon and back and we've done it, right?
I didn't know that.
Yeah, that's where the term comes from. That's where it comes from. But if I would have told you 100 years ago that there's going to be a box in your pocket, and you're going to pull this thing out, you're going to hit a couple buttons, and then it's going to capture invisible waves that are drifting around the earth and bring the waves in, and you're going to see somebody on the other side of the earth and you're going to talk to them, you're totally nuts. Thoughts are those invisible waves. And when you use your body in a certain way, if I sit like this, I'm going to tap into a different channel of those waves than if I'm sitting like this. Kind of like a TV set. If I turn one channel, it might be a comedy channel. I'm going to see a lot of laughter. Turn another one, it's a horror channel. Turn another channel, it's a romance channel. This is what changes which of those waves you touch in. So if you can start to realize that your thoughts that you think are your thoughts, there's nothing unique about your thoughts. They've been around for thousands of years. You're just tapping into them because of what you're doing with your body that makes you either fearful or passionate or courageous or whatever you're feeling. As you go in those states, you get different thoughts. So what I want people to see is that learn how to just see those thoughts go by. Learn how to be entertained by those thoughts. Because I have crazy thoughts, but what I've gotten good at is going, look at that crazy thought. That's not me, that's the mind. Not your mind, because if it's you, how do you change you? Pretty hard. But I really, truly know I haven't heard a thought come out of you that's original. You've called them your thoughts, but they're not. You've stolen them. They've been around forever. When you see that, it's easier to let go of them. And letting go of those thoughts is one of the ways that you free yourself. And again, the more you do it, just like a muscle, you get better and better and better. And all of a sudden, the shit that used to make you crazy or stressed out, I'm like, how many things have you worried about that never came to be? And some people, their life is good, so they worry about other people, so they're never not worried, right? So it's really just a pattern. If you want wealth, real wealth is not just money, it's emotion. It's like, what are we really after in money? You don't want money. You don't want pieces of paper with the pictures of deceased notables on it. You want what you think money will give you. You think it'll give you freedom or security or stability or love. It won't give you love. It'll get you sex. It won't get you love. Money won't, right? So really what you're after is the emotion. And so what I want people to get is the emotion they want now, and all it is a new habit. It's learning to discipline this mind, right? By realizing the mind thoughts are out there, and letting them float by and constantly coming back to what can I love about this? What can I appreciate? It's like, if you can learn to love or at least appreciate, start to enjoy the things that you used to get upset about, how much freedom would you have? How much more joy would you have? And I know people who got billions of dollars, I've coached them, who is like, holy shit, they live in scarcity all the time. One man, I'll never forget, he's screaming at his wife. I'm in the meeting, I'm in the house, and he's screaming at his wife because she spent some money on a bunch of outfits and stuff like that. And he's a multi-billionaire. He couldn't spend all his money in his lifetime. And then he's totally upset at his daughters in her 20s who spent some money too. And I'm like, I pulled him aside afterwards and I said, what do you do this for? And what do you do it for? And he's like, well, it's the principle thing. I said, no, the principle thing is, do you love these people? And do you want them to have an abundant life? When you don't have one loss, but you live like you're poor, And it's like, I finally got through to him. But so many people, that's why I say money doesn't change you. Money magnifies who you are. So you want to expand the depth of who you are and free yourself from suffering by just knowing it's a pattern of thought, and you can change the pattern of thought.
Yo, E, you got to discipline yourself. I started looking at Mother Teresa, Gandhi, and I was like, yo, bro, Gandhi would go fast from sex, and he was married. He would fast from talking. I just started watching these great people and was like, yo, these people fast, and not about fasting, like that's not the piece, but they were very disciplined people. Mm-hmm. And they would not allow their exterior world to dominate or destroy their internal world. I just like, yo, I want to get to a place where I can control me. My family members have grown. I lost an uncle who cirrhosis of the liver, brilliant man, but just drinking. And I was like, yo, I do not want to. My father was a substance abuser for years. I was like, yo, I don't want a life where something else is controlling me. Mm-hmm. Like for real, when I left home and said, I don't want to be controlled no more, like I meant that. Like I don't want nothing to control me but me. And so I got to put myself under extreme discipline to make sure I'm free. So when people see me, you get up at 3, you don't drink, you don't smoke. I'm not doing that because I think I'm better than nobody else, or I think you're going to go to hell because you had a drink. I want to control, I want freedom. And for me, disciplining myself means more freedom. And the less you discipline yourself, people who, I told my son the other day, I was like, yo, son, I don't not want you to have fun. I just seen a history of people who just have fun. Christmas, Thanksgiving, Halloween, New Year. Yeah. They're the people who
Thursday night, Friday night.
Oh, man, every night. Yeah. They're the people who end up in their 20s having a great deal of fun, but in their 40s and 50s, they working for somebody, and I'm not saying nothing wrong with cleaning toilets, but they doing something they don't want to do for the rest of their life, and they can't retire because they played so much. Yeah. So for me, I just look at Venus and Serena, Michael Jackson, when he used to 5 and 6 just dancing all night. I just think the more a man disciplines himself, the greater, it don't mean it's going to happen, but the greater the probability that he has this sense of freedom.
I love talking about discipline because I think so many people, that word has such a negative connotation around it, right? It just sounds bad. Discipline, like you're gonna feel pain or someone's gonna hurt you or you're in trouble for something. And I want to start having you think about it in a really positive way, because discipline equals freedom. 100%. It has been the theme throughout my entire life, is how if you have structured discipline in your life and you start doing the things that you don't want to do, especially if you do them first, you are absolutely going to free yourself of all of the different pain that comes with not getting your goals accomplished, that comes with not taking care of yourself, that comes with living with regret. So before, way back in my early 20s, and even through my mid 20s, when I would, I was trying to create habits around maybe eating right or habits around working out. And let me tell you, habits around getting stuff done. I literally in my head told myself all the time, my mantra at the time was, I never finish anything. So what do you think I did? I finished nothing, because that's literally how I talk to myself. Well, I never finish anything. This is another thing I didn't finish. So I had to switch that mantra around, and it was also realizing how important discipline was and how much freedom came with it. And I spent a lot of time living in agony in my head, and I was tired all the time because I spent more of my time in my brain thinking about what I didn't do and arguing with myself all day long. Am I gonna go to the gym? I don't wanna go to the gym. You should go to the gym. Why aren't you going to the gym? You know you need to go to the gym. You're never gonna get to your goals. It's like I was drained just because of the conversations I was having with myself. If I would have just gotten disciplined, committed to a time, or knew I was going, I could have focused on all of the other good things that were happening in my life and just knew this is what I'm doing. It's like just saying, okay, well, here's what I'm doing so I can forget about it until the moment that it comes, and I'm going to do it because I'm committing, truly committing to discipline, and how freeing that is. And when I started getting a great discipline habit around all of the things that I wanted to do, I started to notice how much more free I felt, how much less anxiety I felt, how when my head hit the pillow, I felt proud instead of another day just went by that I'm further away from my goals and I have regret and I'm feeling my life race by me, right? Those are all feelings that do not feel good, that discipline can free you from.
People come up to me and they hold their cell phones at me and they go, these things are ruining our lives.
Right.
And my response always is, absolutely not.
Right.
What's ruining your life is your inability to exercise discipline around the use of your technology. That's what's ruining your life.
Because the technology ends up using you.
Exactly. The technology is beautiful. I can call my mother in Australia and see her in literally 5 seconds.
It's amazing.
How amazing is that? Right? So it's your inability to exercise discipline around the use of technology is what's ruining your life. The technology itself is not bad.
When you start talking about my brain, it's an organ. It's like your heart is an organ. You can speed up your heart. You can slow down your heart. You can, speed up the brain waves in your brain. You can slow them down. You can tune in. You can tune out. Yeah. We haven't been given the user's manual for the most powerful tool that we're aware of. That's right. And so the great news, I know you being an athlete and a successful businessman, you have discipline. You cannot
you can't achieve results
without some kind of discipline.
Exactly.
And so we know that there's some fundamental truths to achieving success. And every successful person will tell you, and Jim Rohn is, I know you love Jim Rohn, said you either pay the price of discipline or you pay the price of regret. Discipline weighs ounces, regret weighs tons.
That's good.
But the thing is, can you teach discipline? The answer is yes.
How?
But you have to have a willing participant. And if the participant's reason why is big enough, if they know I want to achieve X, and the reason why, the motive for their action, motivation, the motive for their action is a reason beyond just themselves, chances are they will do more to achieve that success than if it was just left up to their own. But there are some people that are born, with incredible drive. They just have this insatiable drive, and they'll just, I'll do whatever it takes for the things that I want. And there's other people that want things, but they just don't have this insatiable drive. And this is where, as much as I hated school, I love to use school as an analogy. Yeah. In the game of life, whether it's health, wealth, relationships, career, business, spirituality, fun experiences, you have to decide what level of the game do I want to play at. Is it the grade school level, the kindergarten level, the high school level, the university level, the pro level? Because each one of those levels requires a totally different mindset and totally different skill set. They're building blocks on each other, but if you are extremely talented, but you're not prepared to practice and rehearse and drill and fall and fail forward to the next attempt, you will never make it as a pro. You will never make it as a pro business person. You'll never make it as a pro husband or wife or athlete or musician. You just never will. So just get used to that if you're not prepared to pay the price. If you are prepared to pay the price and you have the aptitude and the talent, now we're talking about there's some real potential here. And what we don't know is, what's in your heart? Like, what is the fire that stirs you, that you wake up saying, I will do this even when I don't feel like it. I will do whatever it takes to overcome my temptation for mediocrity, my temptation for excuses, my temptation for reasons and circumstances to hold me back. I won't allow those to be in my way. And if you have that within you, you'll achieve whatever you choose.
Right.
And so the question you asked before is, how do you develop that? Start small.
Yeah.
Start small. So if you don't have discipline, show yourself that you can give yourself one command and one follow through. So you know what? Right now I'm going to get up and I'm going to do 2 push-ups. Right now, not like later, now. Can you give yourself a simple command, 1 sit-up? Right now I'm going to go get a glass of water. You start with something ridiculous. I learned many years ago, reduce it to the ridiculous. So if I reduce it to the ridiculous and I start, I say, can you do that? Great. Will you? Because that's the difference right there. That's the razor's edge. The people who can,
will you?
Will you?
Yeah.
Great. When?
Now.
Yeah. Right. So if you develop that skill, and specifically from a brain plasticity, a neuroplasticity perspective, as soon as you do that, you give yourself a command and you take the action, you have just created a neural pattern that you can give yourself a command and take action. Now, that may just be one time. Well, what if you did that every hour by putting a little bell on your computer? And every hour, like if my computer was open, I'd have every hour it would say, it's 12 o'clock, it's 1 o'clock. And
Really?
I take 60 seconds just to be in control of my mind. 60 seconds, I don't care where I am.
Stop what you're doing.
Stop, take 6 breaths,
Breathe.
just get centered. Am I on track? Am I off track? Am I doing something I shouldn't be doing versus a high impact activity that I need to be doing? Every hour, I've trained myself to just reset. I didn't always do that. So I just started with 1 a day.
Right.
Then 2.
Sure.
Then 3. Then it was working so well, I said, great, let's do this every hour.
When I was in high school, I must have been maybe 16 or 17 years old. And I went rock climbing in El Dorado Canyon, near where I grew up in Boulder. I'd been climbing about 3 or 4 years, and I went to do a climb called T2. Now, at the time, T2 was a relatively difficult climb, and I went at it with a kind of an arrogant lack of preparation. And I hadn't prepared for being able to do certain kinds of finger cracks. I'll figure it out when I get there. And I also didn't pause, and this is that thing about boldness and discipline, I didn't pause to really double check all my systems. Okay, so I'm on the 4th pitch. I'm about 400 feet above the ground. I'm going across this slanting crack system that I started to have trouble with. And my forearms started to engorge with blood and lactic acid, which means at some point, even if you're on a big hold, your hands are going to melt off. Okay. And I'm about to fall. I'm 400 feet above the ground. But it should be okay because there's protection. I'm tied into the rope. I may take a fall, but I'll get caught. For some reason, and to this day I still don't know why, my brain triggered that I should look at my knot. And I looked down at my knot. My knot had come untied. I had made the mistake of never really thinking about the best knot for certain types of situations, and I tied him with what's a bowline. Now, the advantage of a bowline is it's easy to untie, right? The disadvantage of a bowline is it's easy to untie. It had come untied as I kept moving across, and it is just hanging in my harness. I'm seconds away from falling, only now I will die. I will die if I fall off. My forearms are melting. And the knot had come untied. And so I called down to my partner. I said, my knot came untied. What is he going to do? He can't do anything. He'll just watch me fall to my death. And there was an old fixed piton in the rock that we put there from the first descent, an old soft iron piton. And I looked at it, and I probably had 15, 20 seconds before my hands would unwrap, if that, maybe 10. I took a runner, and I clipped it into the piton. I clipped the piton into my that runner into my harness, and just went, please hold. And I let go. And it held. Okay. I put in a backup. I grabbed the knot, retied it, went to the ledge. It didn't convulse. I was very calm at that moment. When I got to the ledge, I went into convulsive shaking. I was sick to my stomach for days because of the whatever happens chemically. What I learned from that is two things. The first is that when you're in an unforgiving world, when gravity is unforgiving, it doesn't care. It never takes a day off, ever. And if you make one mistake, it can kill you if it's the wrong kind of mistake. And what I learned is that sense of, yeah, I want to do adventurous things. I want to climb rocks. I want to be in Yosemite. I want to do things that get my adrenaline going. But I need the discipline to always do all the right preparation, to always think about the right knots, to always be cross-checking my systems so that I can do those bold things and stay alive in an unforgiving environment. And as you and I spoke about earlier today, I think that's the rest. I think we're all heading into an unforgiving environment where we're going to have to be both bold and disciplined. The second thing I learned, what if that piton had not been there? We might not be here together. It was just by chance that piton was right there. And what you realize when you rewind the tape of your own life is that there are these crucial moments where if the luck had gone the other way, you might have gotten killed. And so what you have to do is to always be putting those extra disciplines in place, because I was lucky to live. And what I took from that is I never want to have to be lucky to live again. I want to live because of my discipline, not because of my luck.
Now I've got a special bonus clip that I think you're gonna enjoy, but before that, it's time for the best Life 30 questions of the day. Now it's not enough to just watch a video, you have to do something, take action, so pull out your worksheets and let's get to work. And if you don't have the worksheets for this video, check the link in the description to get them for free. Question number 1, where do you need to have more discipline? Number 2, how can you structure your life properly? And number 3, what's the thing that you hate most and how can you do it first? And if you're doing the Best Life 30 challenge with me, give me a hashtag BestLife30 in the comments below so we could celebrate with you. The mind is getting in your own way. If you want to lose weight, you know how to do it. You gotta eat less, you gotta work out more, you will lose weight. Why are you not doing it? Self-discipline. Your mind is getting in your way. But I see self-discipline as a positive. I think self-discipline has a really negative connotation a lot of times. I think in a lot of the messages that people are putting out, it comes across as this really negative thing. Like you have to force yourself to do all of the stuff that you really hate and it's gonna suck, but you have to keep going, you gotta do it, you gotta be disciplined. If you're not disciplined, you suck, everything's terrible. It just comes across as this really negative, forcing yourself to do stuff that doesn't resonate with me. I see self-discipline as a really positive thing. I think it's really helpful. I think it's amazing and beautiful and golden. Let's look at weight as an example. I am the lowest weight that I've been all year. I'm on a routine. It's working. The specific strategies that don't really matter. 1, intermittent fasting. So I'll only have water and a coffee until noon, and then after that I'll start eating. I do that 7 days a week. I run for 30 minutes. Usually at night while I'm watching a show with my wife, 7 days a week. And then 6 days a week, I'll restrict my calories, not really forcing myself not to eat food, just not eating Doritos and not eating junk, right? Eating healthy food 6 days a week, and then Saturdays I get to do what I want. 6 days a week. Those are the strategies that I use. It may seem like torture, but it's not. And the thing that helps me get through it is the mindset, because the positive of all of this is I'm losing weight. I'm feeling great. I'm making progress. I'm super pumped that I'm getting closer to my goal. I feel amazing about myself. So I think self-discipline, usually it seems to focus just on the action that you just have to grind your way through it without enough focus on the mission of what you're trying to accomplish and how beautiful and wonderful that is. And so yes, some of it might suck, right? But you're moving towards something amazing and beautiful. So I think people just focus too much on the negative part of it. And if you force yourself to do something that you hate, you can only do it for so long before you give up. If you can't tie it into the bigger picture of what you're trying to accomplish, then you will give up and you will quit and you will feel terrible. And then I think having other people yell at you about how you need to have self-discipline doesn't actually help. I think it actually makes it worse, because you develop the identity for yourself of I don't have any self-discipline. You can build it. It's not that difficult to do. In my perspective and my view, all you need to do is make sure that you have a really strong why. Make sure that you have an outcome that you are really looking forward to and you love doing. And then the process itself, how do you make the process as enjoyable as possible? How do you make the process just not absolutely suck every single day going in, right? If you figure that out, then you win. If you want to join the Best Life 30 Challenge, click the link right here below me. Or if you want even more videos on how to build your discipline, check out the playlist right there next to me. Continue to believe, and I'll see you soon.